they're having the Davos meeting, and these guys from Rebel News in Canada, are they're getting to question people as they walk the street, meaning powerful people like the heads of countries, the heads of Pfizer, and now Greta Thunberg. Now, Greta Thunberg, she has a huge platform. She's being propped up by every news agency, every NGO. She's getting propped up by lots and lots of people, and she has a lot of power. I don't know about power, but she has a big reach and a lot of influence, right? And so remember when she said this, right?
Party here.
How dare you?
It is the most important person in the world. According to the World Economic Forum, it is young Greta Thunberg.
So they confronted her and they wanted to ask her a few questions. And now what I just want to preface this by saying she's not a kid. She's 20 years old. So she's 2 years older than soldiers who are serving in Iraq, Libya, Afghanistan, Syria, Ukraine. She's 2 years older than all those people. So she's not a kid anymore. But she acts like a kid. She acts like she's 12 years old. This is really weird. You tell me what you think of this, because it seems to me she has a chance to answer questions, people who she's going to have to convince so we can all get on board for this climate change thing, because you can't do it with only half the population or a quarter of it. You have to get everybody on board. And so she's an activist. She would want to reach these people and the people who watch them. It would make sense that she would want to talk to them and bring her message, because that's how you change people, with your message. She doesn't do that. Let's watch what she does.
Greta, how did you get here today? What was your climate footprint in traveling here?
Now, that seems like a totally legit question to ask the world's #1 climate change activist. What's the best way to travel if you're conscious of climate change? So how did you travel to get here?
What's your plan?
And she doesn't answer. And she giggles like she's 12 years old. That's not what a grown-up does when you're asked a question on the world stage. She has a chance to talk to those people and tell them, this is how I travel during climate change. This is how I try to reduce my carbon footprint. She just laughs. She's going to do this over and over and over in this. So let's watch more.
Vibe.
Will we have a Fridays for Future demo tomorrow here?
Greta, how do you feel about discussing climate change with the delegates here when nearly all of them take private jets?
Now, that's kind of hilarious, right? So I saw news reports about this. I don't know if you saw it, Kurt, but there was like over 100 private jets at Davos, which was that's the story headline I saw anyway. I didn't read the story, I just saw a headline. And it's just like, of course, they're all taking private jets. Of course they are. Okay. So that also seems like a legitimate question. Like, what do you feel about these people who claim to care about climate change, yet they're all jetting around in private jets? Okay. She doesn't, I don't think let's watch.
Do you think at least the fact these delegates take private jets is a bad thing against, what you believe in? All of this.
Nothing. Why does she look like a politician with something to hide? You're a climate change activist. Why are you afraid to answer these questions from people who you have to reach?
I thought, Jimmy, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I couldn't know my mic worked. I thought she has like some kind of
She has autism. She has autism,
Yeah.
and she also says about her autism that it provides her a superpower. That's how she looks at it, FYI.
Well, guess what? When she didn't go to school over climate change, she was not provided an education. So I don't think she has answers to any. I think she's been asked questions before and had no answers.
Right. So I haven't followed Greta Thunberg, or however you say her name, Thunberg. I don't know how to say her name even. I haven't followed her. I didn't have the bandwidth to look into her. I was looking into other stuff. I don't know anything really about her. But it seems weird that she won't answer these questions. Now, I don't know if this has anything to do with her being autistic, but maybe.
Well, she's just a symbol. She's like a puppet. Like, you're not supposed to intellectually engage with it. You're supposed to be emotional because of Greta Thunberg. Like, she's just there to blather whatever they tell her to blather. It's not her own. She has OCD as well, so she gets obsessive.
And she was also recently what appeared to be in a photo op at a protest with police. What appeared to be. They certainly were stopping to take pictures with her. They're going to show it in a second. And then they're going to ask her about it. And this would be a good chance to diffuse all that. Again, when she started walking out of the meeting place she had a handler with her, and the press came up to her. And she told her handler, "It's okay. You can go back. You don't have to protect me from these people. I'm cool with it." So she's okay with this. She told her handler, "It's okay. You go back, and I'm okay with it." And obviously, these people are being respectful. No one's being physically threatening to her. They're just doing what journalists do and ask someone who's super famous with a super big megaphone on the world stage to answer some questions. And she's not answering any of them, and it looks weird. It looks the opposite of what you would do if you actually wanted to convert people to your cause. Here we go.
Well, she's been asked questions at things before, and it didn't go well.
Really?
Yeah, there was a press conference when she was asked questions, and she didn't. It was very obvious she doesn't really know anything. So
really,
I'm guessing she probably has been told, like, these are the bad people to not talk to. You know, the neo-Confederate rebel news.
So now, So now there's rebel news, but there's other reporters there that aren't with rebel news. They're just regular reporters, right? And so they watch what happens with them coming up. Here we go.
Be done via Zoom. So surely.
So he's saying, can't they do this meeting in Davos via Zoom? Why do they all got to take their private jets to come to Davos and burn carbon and all that stuff? It seems like a legitimate question. Do you have an answer for it? I'd like to hear that answer. Like, no, Zoom isn't good, or we do more stuff here and it's better and this actually helps. And here's what she says.
Surely you should be encouraging all the delegates here, especially the likes of US Special Envoy John Kerry for Special Envoy for Climate Change. Surely you should be saying to these people, you should be doing this via Zoom with a much smaller carbon footprint, surely?
What does she get? Like, she didn't have to do this either, right? Like, she wanted this. She's like, came out, she goes, "No, you can go back. I'm going to go with these guys. I'm going to go do this." I don't know if she thinks.
Told her, "Great job."
I don't know if she thinks. I don't know if maybe the plan was go look like a victim. But it didn't happen. She didn't know, but she doesn't look like a victim. So that didn't happen. I think maybe that was the plan, that these guys would overreach and get in her face and be rude and mean to her. But they didn't. They were just asking regular reporter questions all the time. And she kept doing that. She just kept like smiling like it's funny, or like she has something to hide.
Don't you remember when you know Ryan Grimm, when he was with the trucker thing, he goes, "Well, isn't Rebel News connected to this and that?"
Right.
I'm sure from what I see with all this other stuff, the way they deal with it is, we've designated you as bad.
Yes.
You're like a Tucker Carlson person. So the people around her, I bet, were like, "You did great, sweetie. That was exactly what you do. Just smile and act like you're above answering questions from the likes of them." I think that's what the plan is.
And I've already pointed out why that's a bad plan, because those are exactly the audience that those people reach are exactly the people you need to convince about climate change.
No, they're deplorable. We need to build a wall.
That's right. Here we go. There's more.
Greta, energy prices in Europe have never been higher. Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
Why wouldn't you answer that question? She won't answer that question. That seems like a great question. People are really hurting right now about high energy prices, and they can't afford the heat themselves. And what does she say about that in the context of fighting climate change? I'd love to hear it. She hasn't said anything.
Are you happy that natural gas is so expensive so people can't afford it? Or do you think that's bad?
I would love to hear what, honestly, I'm not even kidding a little. I would love to hear what she has to say about that. Because now they're burning coal again in Europe. I don't know if you've caught that. They've gone back to burning coal because they blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. They're sanctioning Russia and all that stuff. They're back to coal. So they're going backwards as far as climate change is concerned. And he wants to ask her, is it good that we're making regular people pay way higher prices for energy? Is that good? She won't answer it. That's not good for your cause. This is not going to convert anybody. It's going to do the exact opposite.
Greta, it's getting quite cold in Davos. When can I expect some global warming?
Okay. So why not? Why wouldn't she stop and address that? Like, no, you're talking about weather. You're not talking about climate change, and you keep doing that. That would have been good. Or say anything. Again, she's not a kid. She's 20 years old. She's been given a huge platform, which she embraces fully.
Would you say you're a child actor? Are you a child actor or an expert? How would you describe yourself?
So this is not good. This is not good. There's more.
Greta, are you used to gentler questions, or do you ever talk to people who disagree with you? Greta,
Well, why wouldn't you answer that question? Why wouldn't you answer that question and say, of course I talk to people who disagree with me. Those are the people I need to talk to. Those are the people I don't have to talk to people who agree with me. They're already on board my agenda. I'm supposed to be out there converting people who don't agree with me. That's exactly what you're supposed to do as an activist. You're supposed to talk to the people who don't agree with you. You're not supposed to talk to people who already do.
What you're supposed to do is curry favor with the really small amount of important people above you, and the people below you will do as they're told.
That's right.
Really what it is.
Yep.
Who's filming your arrest in Germany?
So now they're going to ask her about, it looked like it was a photo op in Germany. I don't know if it was. I'm saying that's what it looked like. So it would be helpful if she debunked it. She doesn't.
Because it looked like you did that in several takes, didn't you?
It did look like
you were posing with the police.
She was posing with the police.
He's answering for you.
And so as this guy asks her questions, another reporter starts to answer for her. What?
Finally.
What? Another reporter starts to answer those questions for her. Now, at any point, she could have said to these people, hey, please leave me alone. I'm going to give a press conference tomorrow. You can ask me all the questions you want. She didn't do anything except that. It was almost like she was antagonizing them, if that doesn't sound too crazy. Because, again, she had a handler. She told her handler, go away. I want to go walk with these guys. And she did.
He's answering for you. He said you had an agency.
Sometimes I wish I had one. It would be much simpler than.
Why not just
filming you then?
Why not just answer the questions? Why turn this into this? I'm telling you, because this, what she basically is public relations, right? And that's what this seems like. She was hoping this would go another way, right? She was hoping that they would get it, like I said, overreach, and they're not. And this is not good for her climate change program.
I don't know media.
You don't know who was filming you in Germany? He said he knows. He says it was an agency.
News agency, you idiot.
Exactly.
So he's still, the reporters are still answering for her. And they're calling other reporters names now.
Oh, I thought he was talking to Greta. I'm sorry.
No.
Greta answered.
Do you normally have reporters defending you?
So there she was at this protest, and you see the cops are there, and they're all giggling with her, and they're all standing around, and they take pictures. And then a couple of them even picked her up. They picked up her feet, and they were like, aha.
Yeah.
Well, in fairness, isn't that just how European cops do arrests compared to us? They laugh with you. They take some pictures.
Here we go.
It's very likely that the German police and RWE fossil fuel company would stage an arrest.
How many times were you arrested? Because
you see the photo
posed for several times.
So you see, it looked like a photo. I did. It looked like that. Now I'm not saying that's what it was. I'm saying that's what it looked like. So it would be helpful if she clarified it.
Did she say she doubts they would do that?
What's that?
Is that what she said? I doubt they would. I doubt the German police.
Really?
You got the British police doing the Macarena. You think it wouldn't stage a?
Sure.
Okay, here we go.
How come you never protest Saudi Arabia or Russia? You only protest Western energy. Why have you never criticized Vladimir Putin or OPEC?
Yeah, I have never done that. Never, ever.
Will you do so now? Will you condemn OPEC energy?
That's a super legit question. Will you condemn OPEC energy? Well, how does someone navigate that?
She doesn't know what that is.
Now, OPEC is in bed with the West. They're in bed with the petrodollar. They're propping up the United States petrodollar, which allows us to commit genocides and wars all over the world. That is a big pusher of climate change, the military. That's a completely legitimate question. And she just ignores it. Let's watch.
Greta, can you condemn every...
And then she starts laughing. Like, I'm sorry, you guys. This is fucking... You got a shitty spokesperson.
Mm-hmm.
You got a really shitty... This is your... Do you think this is going to get it done on climate change? You think acting like a child, which is what she's doing. She's acting like she's 12 years old, not like she's 20, and responsible. She can't answer a direct question about climate change. Not one.
Single delegate that's come here on a private jet. Surely that's something you should condemn.
She won't.
You can do it too.
She won't do it. Isn't that... What is this weird? What kind of a weird back and forth is she... This is crazy.
Well, I never thought she knew anything. The whole story of her was she won't go to school. So until he fixed the weather, I guess. So I assume she didn't go to school. And obviously, also, she hasn't grown since I first saw her. She's the same damn size. Weird. It's weird. Like a real mascot. And I feel like everybody knows that. I've never heard a living human being in front of me bring her up one time, only online or on TV or something. So I don't think the message is to like the people. I think she's there for the people to be like, you better not say something about this precious angel. That's all it is for your end. And at the top end, they're supposed to go, oh, because who would even, a poor person hearing that she won't go to school till climate change is fixed would be like, my mom would just beat me over the head and make me go to school instead. Like, no one can relate to that except the richest of the rich people. Who's that Slavov Žižek, whatever? Yes. He was like, I love the Greta Thunberg because he appreciated the propaganda of it.
Yeah, it turns out that guy's a big moron, it turns out. I thought that guy was smart at one point. Yeah. It turns out he's a big dummy. But here we go.
You know, I could do it, but you're the one who has such a strong stance against climate change. And, you know, if it's true, I commend your efforts, but could you condemn them taking private jets to these meetings?
Why won't you condemn private jets? Have you ever been on a private jet even once?
I own 100 private jets.
So how is that helpful? People are asking you, people who you have to convince are asking you super legit questions. And you're responding like that. I don't know what adjective to give it, but it's stupid, it's childish, and it's unproductive. It's unproductive. So you think she would do that with Anderson Cooper? You think she'd be that smug with Anderson Cooper and not answer? You think she'd do that with Rachel Maddow? You think she'd do that with Chris Hayes? I don't think so. I don't think so. Those aren't the people she needs to convince. The people she needs to convince are asking her questions, and she won't answer them because she doesn't have an answer. That's sad. This is the last person. If I was a climate change activist, this is the last person I would want as the head of my activism. This should be if you were into climate change and that's your thing, you should be working to get her removed as the face of climate change movement. Because this is garbage. This is stupid and it's insulting.
Have you been on, how about once? Have you ever been on a private jet?
All the time, yes.
I wonder why you won't answer me in a straight answer.
I wonder why. I wonder why too.
This is your opportunity to stop and tell us what you care about and what you're fighting against.
This is your opportunity to stop and tell us what you care about, what you're fighting against. Take it. She won't take it.
You seem to be joining the establishment, not fighting them anymore.
She's like, exactly. You seem to be joining the establishment, not fighting them anymore. Super legit question. She should have an answer for that like that. She should have an answer at the ready. What did she say? She just laughs like a 12-year-old child. That's ridiculous. This is not good for her.
One of them.
One of who?
What, the people on the private jets and the helicopters flying in here to tell us how to live our lives?
Yes, because I have many private jets of my own. Yes.
It's okay.
So she keeps pretending those aren't legitimate questions, and she thinks she's being clever, and she's not. She's being like a 12-year-old child. This is the height of immaturity. And why can't you answer a question?
Here.
So what this actually does is the people who she needs to convince and reach about climate change, what this does is convince them she is in fact a fraud. That's what this does. So she's actually now having a boomerang negative effect on the climate change movement. She's now setting it back. That's what she's doing, because she is making sure the people she has to reach out and convince, she's making sure that they're suspicious of her, they don't trust her, and they think she's an actor. She's making sure that they think that. So you think that's helpful to climate change? Or do you think it's unhelpful? I think it's unhelpful. And she doesn't give a shit. Because they're bad. The people who are asking questions are bad. Those are the people you have to convince.
You have to condemn all of them equally, otherwise it's hypocrisy, right? No?
Greta, 2 + 2 is 4, right? What in the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, Jimmy, if you follow her closely, as I do, of course, you would know that she's switched focus to a more social justice activism, according to her, then because we need that first. So she's not really all about climate change.
Oh, she switched
to that degree.
Yeah, that's how little I
social justice.
That's how little I know about her.
Yeah. It's all in Politico.
Let's listen a little more.
Funny.
I don't take anything seriously, so I laugh all the time, so don't take it personally.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't mind you laugh all the time. I would like if you answered a question or two. I don't mind you laughing unless it's in lieu of answering a question. Then it seems stupid.
What was she there to do?
She was there to meet people, and I don't know. She's at Davos. You tell me what she's doing. Exactly what that reporter said. It seems like you're joining the establishment, not fighting them.
Well, I just want to say this. I'm online looking up about her, and this one website says, in various places around the world, others soon joined her protest, and Thunberg started giving speeches to various assemblies of government leaders. However, she has renounced at least one award and numerous speaking invitations to reduce her own carbon footprint.
Why didn't she say that?
Thunberg does not fly except for emergency cases. Now that was
so. Why didn't she say that?
Right, there are answers right there available.
Why doesn't she say these things? They say legit questions. That would be a legit answer. Everybody's happy. You furthered the cause of fighting climate change. People asked you legit questions. You gave them legit answers. Now people see that you're a legit person, and maybe they should take you seriously. Well, but now, because of the way you did this, no one takes you serious. But those people you need to reach don't take you seriously. They're super suspect of you, and they're insulted by you. So you're not actually converting people. You're pushing people away. You're not converting them to fighting climate change. You're actually just insulting them now. Go ahead, Kurt.
The inherent problem, because the goal of her was to start a youth movement. And the inherent problem with that is, youth are stupid spokespeople you don't want. So then adults have to find a way to keep the appeal of a youth thing, but also inject adult stuff. So I'm sure they told her, just don't talk to the bad people. I bet you anything. That's all they told her. Yeah.
So here we go. There's one more.
I mean, you laugh about this, but surely if it's such a big issue, it's surely no laughing matter. I mean, this is an opportunity for you to try and get people who don't agree with your message to try and see it from your side of the view and to maybe change their ways, surely?
Yeah, I wish I could tell that to myself sometimes to take things more seriously, but I'm just a young person. I tend to laugh at most things.
Well, it sounds like she's lightened up a little bit.
Who do you count as your chief advisors?
Legit question. Who do you count as your chief advisors? Either I don't have advisors, or I look to this guy, or I might always look to this person for direction on climate change. I look to this person for direction on activism. I look why? So this is again, we could go through this, but
Siemens and
Yeah. Shell, Exxon, yeah.
It's quite something that the media are answering the questions for you. That
I've never seen anything like that before in my life either. That the media start answering questions for her. So these people, the other people who aren't Rebel News, they're narrative enforcers. They're regular. I don't know who they are, but in America we call them corporate journalists and narrative enforcers.
Yeah,
and that's what they're doing. They're not there to do journalism. They're there to enforce a narrative.
Amazing.
We're just joking.
Questions again and again.
You're asking the same questions and we get bored.
Yeah, she's not answering them.
Not only I guess.
So the other reporters who are stepping in to answer questions for her, their excuse of why they're doing that is because this reporter keeps asking the same questions. Well, she hasn't answered any of them. And what's it to you that's her to say that? Why are you saying that for her?
Because it's bullying to ask her things.
Is it bullying to ask her things? That's what they'll say.
It's bullying to not talk nice to AOC. It's bullying to ask her the same questions that she already gave you one giggle. You're not entitled to her time, Jimmy.
Well, there you have it. Greta Thunberg walking and talking for quite a while with several Rebel News journalists.
So then they just stopped, and I think they just let her go.
And several mainstream media journalists who sometimes even answered questions for her. They knew the script so well. I think the thing I was struck by, and come here. So there's a journalist saying we were just correcting you.
So that's another journalist who walked by, bumped him, didn't want to actually answer any questions, just like Greta, and said, we were just correcting you. Yeah, why are you doing that? What do you do? What is that about? You often do that at a press conference? You correct other journalists, or do you let the person being asked the questions do that? Why are you doing that? Because you're not a journalist. Exactly as this guy says, they're narrative enforcers.
Dude, that tells you about the kind of media that are normally covering Davos.
Normally.
They're narrative enforcers.
That's right.
They're conformists.
That's right.
And they don't ask skeptical questions.
That's right.
But in the case of Greta Thunberg, what was so striking was, as my colleague Callum Smiles pointed out, this is the young woman who stood at the United Nations and said, how dare you? How dare you? And mustered her fury. But when she was asked question after question, and I mean legitimate good faith questions, she giggled, she laughed, and in some cases, she said absurd things like, I have 100 private jets, or...
So anyway... So now this guy's name, that's Ezra Levant. Is that how you say his name from Rebel News? Now, I'm politically 100 miles away from those people, right? So he's a far right winger. I'm far left. But there are things that we agree on, right? Like, first of all, asking questions and journalism. Second, asking and confronting the head of Pfizer, which they also did, which no other corporate journalist will ever do. They did it. Also, they spoke out about the trucker protests and gave actual coverage of it that was real. That wasn't a propaganda. And they were also against those stupid mandates. And so we can agree on that. We can agree on free speech. We can agree on questioning authority. We can agree on anti-authoritarianism. There's a lot of stuff I can agree with on him. I disagree with most other things. But that's what politics is about, finding common ground with people you disagree with. That's what politics is about. So Greta would it would be interesting to find common ground with those people.
Anyway, what would you say to the people that think that you're just bashing this young, vulnerable woman?
She's fucking.
What do you want to say regarding that issue? Because there are a lot of people like, please, she's young.
She's not young.
This should be a
told
worthy
you
target.
No, she's
then
20
why is
years
she talking?
She's 20 years old, and if she's too young to answer a question, she shouldn't go on the world stage and tell people how to live their lives.
Why would she be at the UN?
She's the face of climate change fighting. She's the spokesperson. She's at fucking Davos. She has a huge megaphone on the world stage. She's not a child. What you're doing is infantilizing her. What you're actually doing is, what do they call it? Patronizing her. What you're doing is condescending to her by saying she's just a little girl. She's not a little girl. She's 2 years older than people who are killing people in the military right now. She's 2 years older than hired killers in the military. She's 2 years older. She's not a kid. She's not a child. And when you say that, and you say that this is mean or bullying to her, what you're doing is infantilizing her. You're actually condescending to a woman. She's not a teenager. She's a woman. And if you think she shouldn't be asked questions, you're the one who's a sexist. You're the one who has a problem. Because she should be. Because she's just as equal as any man who's 20 years old. Okay, anything you want to say, Kurt?
Not since the great David Hogg have I seen such brilliant advocacy.
Hey, we're doing live stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, Tempe, Arizona, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Nashville, Northampton, Massachusetts, and a lot more places. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets and become a premium member while you're there. You get access to all of our stuff. See you then.